Is innocence born? This is the hook that reels me in every time, right in the pit of my stomach. Consider the cry of a newborn baby. Need, not nefarious intent. Or is that so? Consider the still face experiment of the 1970s. Edward Tronick designed the experiment. Moms interacted with the babies, then turned their faces blank. The babies go bananas, flailing, shrieking, desperate for re-engagement. But this is the part that gets me. Babies so young, so new, exhibit signs of distress that shriek hardwired for connection. Hardwired for connection, yes, but innocent? Babies born needing approval? Then what about when that need goes south?
Change gear. Contemporary spin on the same thing, a virtual still face through technology. Parents attached to cell phones, children nowhere to be seen. Research in 2020 published in Pediatrics correlating to emotional retardation in children who become more aggressive, less empathetic. Therefore, born with an innocent mind, which becomes warped quickly by technology. How it translates into daily routine? A mealtime activity where you're engaged with your Twitter account with your toddler pulling your sleeve. No problem with the first omission, but with the second, the pulling becomes pushing in the end. Cognitive dissonance sets in, your mental excuse, just one more Twitter post.
Strong statement. Innocence is not blank slate. Innocence is tilted dice. This is according to evolutionary psychology. Since our ancestors were able to survive by banding together, we too are born to cheat our siblings when there is not enough to eat. Mirror neurons are triggered when we see pain. This is the spark that sets off empathy. However, mirror neurons are what enable us to reproduce cruelty. Scientific fact, sociopaths' fear response is dampened when shown pictures of fear-filled faces, according to fMRI. Born this way? Partially. Now turn to history. Roman Stoics. When disaster strikes, Epictetus, born a slave, advised, control your actions, accept events. New twist, Stoics in the age of Nero. Among the vicissitudes, they vowed to maintain their personal integrity. Were Stoics born spotless? Epictetus, his leg was deliberately bent by his master, didn't change his mindset. Historical curiosity, the breaking of Epictetus's leg, likely mythical, symbolically reinforces learned versus natural defense. Contradict this. Man is born for politics, and the seed of reason is in him. Suppose that seed has thorns. Think of that kid in ancient Athens, indoctrinated in the agora discourses. Went through hard times, yes. Branch that tree for your own example. Suppose war broke out, like during Peloponnesian conflicts. This kid joins the battlefront, a soldier. Lost innocence, or did he lack it in the first place? No point in resolving that argument. The best part about human reason is that it lifts up. The worst part is that it also rationalizes brutal acts. Nietzsche growls at this. Innocence is the child, but as forgetfulness, as a holy yes saying. Flow experience, Csikszentmihalyi's concept. Highest involvement, time dissolves. Psych element, neurochemistry of happiness, dopamine release. However, but what if flow experience occurs in harm? Sniper in the zone, innocent thrill? Ground the idea every day, coding all night, in the zone. Do not answer your mate's call. Harmless? Branch question, what if it's their emergency? Flow experience becomes selfish escape. Real example, the McMartin preschool case of the 1980s. Kids claimed that teachers ritualistically abused them. Vivid claims,
tunnels, sacrifices. It was discovered later that leading questions had planted false memories of the events. The work of Elizabeth Loftus concerning the misinformation effect is really at its best here. Obscure psych study, her Lost in the Mall experiment. Lost in the Mall, an experiment performed by Elizabeth Loftus and Jacqueline Pickrell in the 1990s, is a landmark study that illustrates how a false memory can be planted through suggestion. It proved the existence of the ability to engender a fully false memory about personal experience. Adults were led to believe they got lost as kids. 25% remembered it vividly, details invented. Why? Minds fill gaps suggestively. And here's the contradiction. Born innocent, but brains so malleable, innocence erodes at first nudge. History repeats itself. Enlightenment. Men like Rousseau. Man is born free, but everywhere in chains. Society corrupts purity. Rousseau held that man was born free and equal in the state of nature, but that this freedom and equality are destroyed by the institution of modern society with its laws, its property, and its government. These chains imposed on man by society are the consequences of the loss of natural freedom. New view. The ideals course through the guillotines. Pure Robespierre becomes tyrant. Interpretation. Why? Seduction by power. How? Prejudices are magnified. Conformational bias imprisons us versus them. Paradoxes galore. Revolution for equality. Terror ensues. The good. Ideals spur action. The bad. Humans abuse them. Scientific principle. Twin studies. Identical twins separated at birth. Similar personalities appear. Aggression. Up to 50% heritability by traits. Environment. Turning on and off switches. Experiment. Twin family study at Minnesota, conducted since 70s. A pair of twins became firefighters without knowing each other existed. Innate instinct? However, one was charitable and stingy. Scenarios test this. Short one, born in a quiet suburb, loving parents, innocence thrives? Branch, what if poverty strikes? You steal bread at an early age. Innocent act or survival instinct, hardwired? Another, office politics. Someone backstabs you for a promotion. Scheme from birth? Change the scenario. What if you do it first? Family needs the raise. Ethical dilemma. Justify as for the kids, but gnawing dissonance. Is that innocence preserved or illusion? Go deeper, psych. Following orders experiment. Obedience to shock people. The following orders experiment is mainly referred to as the Milgram obedience studies, which were carried out by psychologist Stanley Milgram at Yale University in the early 1960s. The purpose of this experiment was to establish how far people will complete tasks by order of an authority figure, even if it meant hurting someone else. 65% of people to 450 volts to harm someone. Very obedient. Recent reprise, 2009's Berger study, stopped at 150 volts due to ethics. Suddenly, 70% still submissive. Reality shock. Virtual reality experiments to shock avatars instead. Fewer people are obedient. Guilt is still there. Reason why? Distance kills empathy. Stanford Prison. Zimbardo's mess. Guards' brutality appeared days after. Criticism? Did he coach them? Historical background? 1971, aftermath of Vietnam, era of defiance of authority. Lessons? Pros, illustrates corruption of roles. Cons? Flawed experiment, selection bias. Moral implications abound, harm to subjects versus learning. Choose your own adventure. You are a guard. What if your brother is a prisoner? Do you still obey? Your boss wants an unethical business report. Cognitive dissonance. It's business, but no sleep. Flow, this entire absorption, feels like a notion of innocence, doesn't it? Like a child in play, lost. The need to excel at something is almost a rite of passage, but this has actually been developed by evolution for purposes of survival. What happens in flow is that your analytical prefrontal cortex shuts down, and all you're using is pure instinct. The biochemistry of this, the combination of the endorphins and the serotonin, that's the combination for happiness. The paradox is, we may find ourselves addicted to the formula. Laughter, for instance, is infectious, isn't it? Because the thing that sets us free also becomes the thing that imprisons us. Have you ever heard about the dancing plague in 1518 in Strasbourg? The people just danced uncontrollably until they passed out. Mass hysteria, yes. But maybe it's like the loss of innocent innocence. Maybe stress and hunger were eating away at the reason. It turns out that oxytocin, our very own bonding hormone in a panicked mob, is key to conformity. Conformity to madness. Think of Marcus Aurelius and journaling during plague years. His meditations? Far from tranquil, screaming discipline above chaos. Then comes Nietzsche. What if you were given the choice of living this life in this way, in this fashion, forever? Is that freedom or imprisonment? Think of repeating your most trivial regret ad infinitum. Reflection can cure, but we'll choose the noise. Let's talk about Kitty Genovese. 1964, Queens. She was 28, just coming home from work. What happened next? It unfolded in waves over half an hour. Attacked? Then she got away. Then he found her again. And through it all, 38 people saw or heard something. 38. And no one really intervened. We call it the bystander effect. This diffusion of responsibility in a crowd. But strip away the crowd, what's left? Maybe it's not just anonymity. Maybe it's a quieter, more personal failure, where fear or disbelief or just plain paralysis wins. You hear a scream. Do you call 911? Or does something in you just freeze? What if we could edit out aggression at birth? CRISPR crafting a gentler blueprint. An innocent utopia, maybe. But would we lose that vital driving edge? A society too placid might just stall. Sure, the chemistry shifts, less cortisol, more baseline joy. But we adapt, don't we? New vices find a way. Born innocent? Perhaps. But life sculpts us relentlessly, and those genes, they murmur back. I mean, if babies truly plotted domination, we'd be finished. But their grabs and cries, perhaps that's the raw material. A fragile spark, so easily brightened or blown out.